The Office for National Statistics, the ONS, has just announced that knife crime and robbery in England and Wales has increased over the last year by 14%. The new figures show that between September 2016 and 2017, there were 5.3 million crimes recorded. So let's break this down. Robbery offences went up by 29%, with over 68,000 cases recorded. Over 138,000 sex offences were committed, that's an increase of 23%. There was an increase of 21% in knife crimes, with over 37,000 recorded. And violent crimes went up by 20%, with 1,291,405 offences committed. There were even 6,694 gun crime offences committed nationally in that same period. Shadow Home Secretary Diane Abbott has said that the figures were truly shocking, but then again, any numbers that she can't count on her fingers and toes are shocking to her. The news comes as Mayor of London Sadiq Khan is being urged to start cracking down on gun crime in the city by Conservative Assembly member Steve O'Connell. Almost half the number of gun crimes committed in the whole country happened in London. There were 2,542 gun crime offences recorded by the Met Police in London last year alone. That's the highest figure in 5 years and a 44% increase over 2014 figures. So there's clearly a problem here, and the stats show us it's not the rural areas that are to blame. This is inner city warfare. This is community tension at a level we've never seen before. This is Sadiq Khan's London. The crime stats nationally are shocking enough, but it's the figures for London that really hammer home the fact that this is a city at war with itself. The ONS statistics revealed that knife offences rose by 23%, murders increased by 19%, robberies increased by 30%, and vehicle thefts increased by 14%. This is consistently higher than the national average. So London is its own little microcosm of death, destruction, chaos, violence, and brutality. This is a city that has so many acid attacks that we're almost on par with Bangladesh. It's a city where you can't use your phone in public without risking it getting snatched out of your hand by some hooded motorcyclist. A city that's plagued by postcode wars between rival gangs, and it's getting worse under Sadiq Khan, despite his claim that he said he would create a safer and more secure London. Seriously, I'm no fan of the Conservative Party, but look at what Sadiq says on his own website. Quote, "The Conservatives have left London a less safe city and dangerously vulnerable because our police force is spread so thinly." Really? Let's take a closer look at this again. So Sadiq Khan says that the Tories left London a less safe city. Now, I suppose that might be true if we compare the crime stats under Boris Johnson to stats from a time way back when London wasn't plagued with ethno-cultural gangs and street warfare. But the latest figures show that knife crime in London, year on year, has gone up by over 31% between 2015-2016 and 2016-2017. This is data from the Mayor's own Office for Policing and Crime. Furthermore, knife crime with injury went up by 20.7%. And on New Year's Eve, don't know if you heard about this, but 4 people were stabbed to death in the city. And for all the faults of the Tories, the number was nowhere near this high under Boris Johnson. And if Sadiq thinks that the problem is a lack of effective policing, which it isn't by the way, then why isn't he properly allocating the city's resources? Sadiq wrote an article for The Guardian, of course, The Guardian, claiming that crime occurring in London was a symptom of falling police numbers. So he's a typical Labour politician, isn't he? He makes a mess of the place that he was elected to represent, and then he just passes on the blame to the other side. I mean, technically, he isn't wrong about police numbers. They have hit a record low. Over the last year, we've lost some 930 officers. But here's the thing. If 930 is such a huge number to the Mayor of London, why exactly is the Metropolitan Police boasting about having over 900 specialist police officers tackling hate crime? This is not an effective allocation of important resources, especially when people are being permanently disfigured from rising acid attacks, they're being mugged on the street and left without any help at all when their flat gets burgled in one of London's many multicultural, vibrant boroughs. Reallocate those 900 police officers, give them a proper job, and the problem's solved, mate. But let's be honest, at this point, London is possibly beyond saving. The only thing that would keep peace on the streets of London is if armed police officers patrolled every street corner in the city 24 hours a day. And even that would cause riots. Look at the backlash from hard left activists and from fellow Labour politicians when Sadiq was forced to reintroduce stop and search after he promised not to. And can you imagine the chaos that Black Lives Matter would cause? They'd destroy the city. London has the perfect combination of socio-economic problems, a housing shortage, pissed off native Londoners, lost ethnic minorities forming street gangs, radical Muslims forming their own parallel societies, and tedious, naive, left-wing numbskulls that has made it one of the most dangerous places to live in the country. This is a divided city. This is an obvious truth, but the statistics also don't lie. Look at this. The 2011 census, now outdated and bound to be replaced with plenty of surprises in 2021, showed the white British moving to the outskirts of the city and Arab, Bangladeshi and Pakistani immigrants creating their own inner city ghettos. Look at this. If London is really a multicultural love nest, why is it that the most violent crime happens in the most ethnically diverse areas of London? Head over to multicultural Newham, where native Brits make up 16.73% of the population and 32% of the residents are Muslim, and you might just get your face burned off with acid. Or head over to Barking and Dagenham, where immigrants are shipped in by the boatload in return for Labour votes, and you might get your moped nicked, only for it to then be used to commit moped robberies in the West End of London. So it's not just the fact that these areas are multicultural and divided which is causing crime, it's because people are also living in poverty. Trust for London found that 27% of people living in London are living in poverty. They also found that 58% of those people are from working families. They're not on the street and begging for change. These people are working. They can't afford their rent. There's no way they will ever be able to afford a house in the city, and they can barely afford to clothe and feed their kids. And what do you expect when the government imports hundreds of thousands of new people every year, and over 13% of the entire UK population live in London? Almost 9 million out of 65 million people live in the capital city, crammed into these concrete blocks with children growing up, never seeing a field or a cow, but knowing from an early age how metal detectors at the school gates work. At this point, you have to be mad to live in London, and it's no wonder that crime has gotten so bad. It's a third world, overcrowded city with a third world quality of life. So Sadiq, if you really want to tackle crime, if you really want to see peace on the streets, nurture community cohesion by tackling the threats that actually exist. Stop spending millions on hate crime hubs and listen to the Londoners who've seen their home city destroyed and transformed beyond all recognition. Listen to the parents whose children have fallen victim to grooming and families who've had their lives turned upside down by gang violence. Listen to them and spend money on tackling hate from the followers of the religion of peace. Crack down on Sharia patrols and racial violence. Stop prioritizing immigrants over the local community and then arresting those same locals when they become frustrated at being treated like a second-class citizen in their own country. Stop being a smug, self-entitled brat and do something good with the gift that you've been given by the people of London. This is a special city. Its history goes back 2,000 years. It's survived the plague, civil war, great fires, and aerial bombardment during wartime. It's a city that birthed great movements, poetry, science, and art. It's the home of the Mother of Parliaments, the Tower of London and Buckingham Palace. The people of London and the City of London itself deserve much better than this.
Our videos are free for everybody anywhere to watch, but they're not free to make. We have a studio, we have a camera crew, we have editors, we have security. I'm asking for your help to keep us on the air. If you value the work we do, if you value the news we bring you, please go to tommyrobinson.com/support and give us a monthly voluntary donation. Keep us on the air.